hey, I'm going to teach you how to be financially sovereign and legally sovereign, so that no one knows where your money's going, and you can't be sued, and you can show income, and build financial wealth, generational wealth. Alrighty, brother. Are you with me? Are you present? Are you here right now?
Yes.
Good, good. I appreciate the coffee.
Would you like to go do that before we get into this?
This first. We're here now.
Okay.
Right on. Okay, guys. So, we had previously described a legal structuring with which we could exit essentially the rat race when it comes to taxes, being sued, being known, and being able to have our money tracked.
Right.
We have laid it all out on the whiteboard for you today.
Okay, great.
So the basic structure that you have to grasp is you, the individual, own an irrevocable trust that owns a holding corp that owns an LLC. We gotta recognize this structure right here, and everyone has this structure. So you have it, Jericho has it, I have it.
This is for making sure that every single person that comes in is being able to maintain their full autonomy, and that they are constantly, as everybody else is built up, they are being built up with not only brand, bank account, financial budgeting, the structure of generational wealth, that they have stake in the game, and if they leave, it's still what a beautiful gift to give.
Yes, so we all have this legal structure. The legal structure is known as the Rockefeller waterfall method. The way that we interact with this structure, you have all these things that boil down to an LLC. Jericho has all these things that boil down to an LLC. When these two LLCs come together, they form what's known as a joint venture contract. Through that joint venture contract, a creation is made. The creation is a multi-member LLC. So what you and Jericho would have is alpha sandblasting.
So
that's the joint venture.
We need to register that one?
Starting with all of us making a Wyoming LLC for its transparency, and be naming a Latin-based name that is within the SIC codes of consulting, for then the LLC that we're going to use for everybody connecting and making these. There's only one LLC that we use within the thing, except for these are created from that one. And through all that, that's how we get most access to business funding.
Because you both have the structure, you can combine through a joint venture contract to make a multi-member LLC, which is Alpha Sandblasting. Alpha Sandblasting can then hire my LLC, which is set up with the same structure, to do anything. Be it marketing, it's consulting.
Exactly. That's the best. That's my favorite. That's the government's favorite one too.
That's how we show income without actually exchanging monetary dollar.
Right. And how will the structure be maintained monetarily? Like, let's say,
we'll get that.
Okay. So
I'll jump straight to that point for you. Okay.
And that's where we jump to a IUL, which is a Universal Index Life Insurance Policy. Specific structuring where you do a minimum death benefit, max cash value. That is how we become our own bank, and that we can take loans against our own death benefit of, let's say I have a 100K account.
100K, starts at 100K, and it increases by X amount of percentage from the LLC. Say you have this system, your LLC makes money. Your LLC is owned by the holding corp, therefore the holding corp makes itself the beneficiary of the LLC. The LLC has through the IUL. The LLC has its own bank account, and it has expenses, and it has income, but there's an X amount percentage that goes to the beneficiary through the IUL. And that's
the jump on the IUL.
And what is the structure of the holding corp? Does that have to be
a C corp?
Once you've established your UIL, your Universal Index Life Insurance Policy, it starts out at 100K, and it increases by X amount of percentage from your LLC, which you dictate.
And it also has a 9 to 10% interest accruing within your
Is this a
account.
separate bank account? Or
No, this is a life insurance policy account.
That itself accrues interest.
can we open these online?
I
without
believe so.
agents?
Yeah, I've looked into a few different options, but one thing to be wary when talking to a person, if you do it all, is when you do minimum death benefit, max cash value, it is one of the lowest commissions
That's what you mentioned.
agents
So they're not
can
interested
get.
in selling.
They'll try and
Exactly.
sway you
Try and
away
sway
from
you
it.
Uh-huh.
away.
Oh,
So
you
that's
don't
something
want
to be
this
aware of.
one.
Hopefully we can find a way to do it online.
Mhm.
Ourselves.
And I
Cutting
would
out the
also,
middleman.
prior to that happening as well, you guys do a little deep dive into the IULs as well
Yeah.
and see if you deduce the same thing that I have.
Absolutely.
So that
Fact
we
check us.
don't
Yes.
have to fucking use a person. And to jump back into the IULs, if you have 100K in it, and I already talked to you a little bit
Yeah.
about this,
Yeah.
you pull out 100,000, it's money you don't have to pay back. It's just when you die,
You don't get
that
anything
amount
else.
doesn't get passed on to your beneficiaries.
Right.
But if you then start taking that money and immediately start paying it back and you're putting more money in it, that amount is now past the 100K you took out,
Right.
and you can still take out another loan. And through kind of ways of laundering money, you can take money back out and then just put it back in and just continue to make that amount go up.
You know, that's
Without it
interesting.
dropping.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
The Rockefeller waterfall method, it was the method created by the families that created the banks. And
so they
this,
might know what they're doing.
yeah, this was their tiny hidden nugget. And trying to get a lot of these things done and set up in these ways was made that confusing fucking rabbit hole
Which is
that
what
it
we
is.
want. Yeah.
Which is what we're trying to
Create.
unravel.
As well, this entire structure is how we get on paper. We own nothing and control everything,
Right,
and
right.
through the walls
Right.
of protection, you can't sue what you can't find.
Right.
Right.
And that's why it starts with fucking this guy being owned all the way up
And-
to trust.
Our names have to be somewhere, right? So that our names will only appear here.
No, because it's Wyoming LLC, which you don't, you put your
You
name
need a
on
mailing
it.
address,
But, yes, but then we get an online digital mailing address,
like a PO box.
Like a PO box.
online.
like a P.O. box.
Interesting. I didn't know that existed.
We don't even have to get a physical address.
I'm gonna
There's
look into
sites that can just give you a digital address. And that a lot of
But
people use that
Yeah, you
address.
can't. Who gets your mail? Like if you get mail there.
You can hire a third party that then takes it and sends it to you. But
Huh.
in ways with the LLCs, we always opt out of the mail. And so that
Right,
we're not
right,
even getting
paperless.
anything, and it's all digital.
Right.
and
Right.
Electronic
everything-
paperless.
And then
Absolutely.
everything gets AI cataloged, put into our digital filing cabinet, so
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
has their fucking filed paperwork of saying,
Yeah.
this is your sovereignty,
Yes.
legally on paper.
Absolutely.
State nationalism is a second level to this. This is just establishing the groundwork so that we can exchange dollar untaxed yet provide income
This is our
And become-
financial freedom.
legally
Right. Sure.
bulletproof.
And then
Interesting.
over here, this is just something that
Hmm.
will be created, but it's this graph in a better, more conducive, constructive
With
way.
steps, I would like to see
With,
steps.
well then, actionable steps.
So this is
Jumping
the visual, and then this is the broken down step by
Oh,
step.
lovely. So that's coming. It's
Yes.
being distilled in your brain and stuff and whatnot.
Yes.
And
For financial
then
freedom.
this
And for
one
legal.
is the legal freedom of actual legal, federally recognized national stateship. This is where we get the legal freedom on paper to say, my all caps name is not me, and that it was a legal fiction you created through maritime law when I was born, and I am the living flesh and blood beneficiary of that legal fiction, and that you have no jurisdiction. And
It's reclaiming the account they made for you when you were born.
a straw man account, because when you were born, when you was born, when I was born,
Account.
the Federal Reserve put money into an account that at the Federal Reserve is your social security number, because of the EIN bank account number attached to it, and you accrue interest as we're alive, and that we're the cattle that backs the stock market through this, and that in reality we're actually the creditors and not the debtors.
True.
And all the money, like us going to buy a car, not only are down payments in a way illegal, but that we can go in, and if you understand the document that is that you buying the car, you can have your own stamp where you go and it's a negotiable instrument, and that money comes out of your account, and that your strawman account, and you just got a free truck.
That sounds almost too good to be true. I'd like to see it in action.
We are excited to demonstrate this in action. So yeah, that is the structure. That is how alpha sandblasting is going to operate.
But people of the Matrix are too dense to follow along long enough to know what we're actually doing.
I guess you're right. So we don't need to worry about
we're using words like C Corp and LLC insurance.
They're scoundrels. What are these guys up to? Right?
They can listen.
We're actually
they can listen all day and they're not going to understand.
Right. Okay.
Because they don't want to. Utilizing this system, the more people that we add, the more people that can generate infinite reviews for each LLC. Say we got you, Jericho, me, Jay, Trevor, Jordan, etc. They all try the service that your LLC does, pay for it, do a review for it. If we have 150 members of Guildhall Alpha who have this structure, they can do that, and then as soon as you start a business, you have 150 5-star reviews. And you get 150 opportunities to practice your thing before you go to the public, so it gives you confidence to be able to do what you're trying to do.
The gusto for it,
credibility,
the credibility, the confidence. It's like the training wheels. We helped start the business, and now go get them, Tiger.
Yep.
Get it.
So the public-facing part is interesting. I'm glad you guys are more public-oriented than I am, but
Front of house, back of house.
Old guys.
So it pays to become unsuable.
Exactly. Yes. I'm very intrigued with all this.
Nice. To help out visually, I laid out the costs to do this. Actually, there's an upfront cost of about $2,000 or more, it could be, to sit with a lawyer and set up the structure for one individual in Idaho. However, once they do that, we can take that stack of papers to another lawyer and have them systemize it and give us a paper stack, so that we can do it for free to anybody else.
So Victor uses law.com anyway.
Yeah, no, and I think that's...
We'll look into that to see if we can do this cheaper. Because I'm all about getting scrappy and doing it the cheap, effective way with a little bit of effort.
If we're going to pay for something, let's get our money's worth.
And we can also go on Upwork or Fiverr and find
to double
for
check
just do a consulting.
Yeah.
Just get on a Zoom with us and fucking tell us if we did it right.
Yeah, verify our paper.
There you go. That should take them a lot less time, like less than an hour.
Yeah, that's 30 minutes of us presenting our shit.
Even if it's a couple $100 an hour, so what? Right? So anyway, this is a good list of things.
With
and then
paper stack, we can offer anyone legal and financial sovereignty.
Yeah.
And then how, because this is a request you've talked about a lot, is our who does the books. But this one right here is accounting that can grow and take in new and complex structures.
So this AI tool will be, once we all have this structure in place. For alpha sandblasting, we could definitely use your expertise in bookkeeping. But once we start getting big, that's when we need sage.
We're going to lean on that. Sure. Absolutely.
That's backed with AI, and it handles this structure perfectly.
Automate as much as we can.
And thing that I believe it would be smart and foundational for all of us to be able to get the LLCs and irrevocable trusts and holding corps, so that then we can actually be doing and taking the actions of this while we're building more on top of it.
Yeah, because it's not going to all come together overnight.
No.
So,
But the box tribes can come together overnight. All we really have to do is do it once, take that once to someone to condense it into a paper stack, and then we're good. And if we can use Law.com to minimize that, we're great.
Oh, good.
But if we do it once, we can endlessly replicate it for free.
And we put it in a intake stack of any new person accepted as a guild keeper. Say, fucking, this is the key to your future.
This is how
now
you
you gotta
yourself.
fucking do it yourself and ask for help.
Yes.
And
Because it's step by step.
You're not going to give this away for free, are you?
The guild keepers.
Yes.
Is there a membership?
Yes, and the membership is 1% of what your Wyoming Latin-based named LLC brings through.
So that automatically gets transferred
Yes,
Up
through
to
the automations and
to the
Sage
life insurance policy.
Yes. Ooh, and this is a good segue. And this was
Right.
another fun pass through that while we're here in these moments, if I have an LLC, you have an LLC, both consulting, whatever, if you just give me $2,000, and then just take that money and pull it out of the account, give you $2,000 back.
To show income
Right.
without being taxed.
So that's a perfect.
And then, yes,
Look
yes,
at it.
there is like 3 different ways we can go about it and 3 different ways that are advantageous, and it depends on if you have capital up front or if you're starting it with no capital at all. The one where you do have capital, it is putting $1,000 in a bank account and waiting 3 days, and then go to local credit unions, and there's 3 different banks to go to that are usually happy to give out business loans. Then we do the $1,000 loans because we have $1,000 in the account equal.
So they'll hold our account as collateral.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then before the first month is up, we pay off 99% of it. And then our first credit hit
Oh right.
is best it can be, and then we just pay it off after that. We
Right.
wait another week, and this is if you have the capital, you put in another 2K and you ask for a 3K loan. Do the same
Right.
thing, and then you can do after that a 7K loan, and then just make the payments on it. Never spend that 7K, just make it immediately start paying it off, and every single month you're paying towards principal, and then you gotta click that tab and not interest.
Right.
And that is one of ways with capital that you can boost your business credit as fast as you can. There's a lot of wild sites that you can visit that will give you funding with nothing,
Shark
no
money.
credit, high shark money, but you do the same process,
Yeah.
and then you don't
So those high
fucking
rates don't
slip
matter, you
up.
pay it back.
Exactly. You fucking thanks for the money loan, shark. I
Right.
didn't even spend $1, but we developed a relationship.
True.
Establishing credit.
When we all
Boosting
have
credit
these,
limits.
a plethora of LLCs that have the ability to get 3 different loans from each LLC for
Upwards of 10K
15
alone.
to 10K, we can have $1 million.
getting
Fucking start throwing things.
capital.
But then that is where we can take all of those loans and buy an already profiting business on Biz Buy
Sure.
Sell.
Sure.
We come
Client
in,
list,
we automate
website,
it,
Right.
and
social medias.
and then we
Like a physical business. Or
a
whatever?
physical business that exists that's a boomer wanting to retire, and we
Right.
hit them with
It only wants 50 grand or something.
Yeah.
And we also hit them with a creative financing deal where it's owner carry, to where we say we'll just pay you off on payments, and then in 5 years we hit you with the balloon
You
payment.
should agree to that if the business is making
And we
money.
can build the balloon payment while we're using the business to generate money.
Sure.
And that we streamlined it and cut out the fat.
Efficiency.
It sounds like debt
With AI.
financing, which is a common instrument. in
Sounds like what?
business. Debt financing?
Debt financing, yes.
That's what
All
it is.
of
That's what
the
it's-
wealthiest people are, on paper, make $0 fucking dollars. That's why they don't pay taxes.
Right.
that's
lots of
what we need to
income.
get there.
But not lots of revenue.
I get taxed the ass on my W-2 wages. I
Mhm.
mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, so W-2 is, to my understanding, unfortunately, it's like the financial agreement of slavery.
Yes. Pretty much.
Uh-huh.
I mean, most of us, even that are decent earners, still paycheck to paycheck. Pretty much.
So that brings us kind of to what we hope to acquire as far as tools to make everything more efficient and powerful.
Right.
First things first, we have Zapier, which makes workflows, which is
Oh,
an
right.
integral
She showed me
ingredient
that.
of AI. We have
Right,
Synesthesia,
right.
which we can utilize to create virtual clones of ourselves.
And
Virtual clones of
anyone.
ourselves.
Anyone.
Did they do anything? Can they work?
We
We
make
can
them do
prompt
whatever
them
we want.
to do, they can review things, like they can review products online, they can speak to the camera. We have endless actors because they can speak to the camera for us.
This is really, I'm impressed. This is a lot of.
So that was a lot of words. At this juncture, my friend, do you have any questions for us? About the structure, about how Apple Sandblasting is going to operate structure-wise and financially?
No, not yet. I request first steps. Like, I think I'm going to do some research
And
on Wyoming LLCs and blah.com.
All LCs are based in Wyoming with a digital address to make sure that we can't be traced.
Wyoming or Delaware.
Either one.